Price of farm with apples, $7,500. Amount paid down, $1,500. Mortgage held by C.R. Chipman, $6,000.
The Lightfoot family has been farming in the Annapolis Valley for 8 generations. So I would be the 8th, my father the 7th, and 4 generations on this particular piece of land. So lots of farming history in the Annapolis Valley.
I grew up in the town of Wolfville. My father had a barber shop in there, and so I was a bit of a town kid, but my heart was out here in the country with my grandmother, or what I thought was the country. It seemed a lot further away from town when I was a kid. So she would pick me up after school often because my parents worked late, and I would run wild down here through the apple trees, and I had kept a pony here, a half wild horse, so I would ride through the woods. And my grandmother had a big market garden and an apple farm, and she didn't really spray it or tend it. She just picked the apples. They had scabs on them, so be it. The garden was all cultivated using compost and animal manures and no real synthetic fertilizers. And she taught me, it wasn't called biodynamics to her, it was just called farming. And she would scoff at the neighbors when their bags of empty fertilizer bags would blow over onto our farm. She would curse, like a sailor about that. And so I got the impression really at a young age that that was wrong. That those signals were teaching me that the way our neighbors were farming was wrong and harmful. This would be my grandmother Evelyn. This would have been after some sort of a harvest. It looks like squash. Different types of squash and maybe early pumpkins. Allegedly, the year that they bought the farm, there was enough apples left on the trees. In about 3 months after they bought the farm, they picked the apples and sold them, and more than half paid for the farm. So that's how they started their farming here on this land. And then it very quickly went downhill from there to the fact that they had to start to sell land to survive.
So my father and his father, when I was very young, they purchased some poultry quota. So they were commercial poultry farmers during that time, which brought a lot of stability and security to the farm in terms of financially. It allowed us to buy back a lot of land that we had lost over the previous generations, and put us in a much better position.
About 10 years ago, we decided to diversify the farm. We had lots of land, and we had great interest for wine and drinking it ourselves. So we first planted in 2009 with the hopes at that time that we were really just expanding in the farm and starting in a new industry here in Nova Scotia to be grape growers, to sell our fruit. At the time, we had no intentions of taking it probably to the level that we are now, which is producing our own and packaging and labeling and putting our name on it.
Right now, the focus is just on getting the fruit, ready for harvest. So we're really close. So it's looking like our first harvest could be the beginning of next week. I'm excited, anxious.
There's always this anticipation around harvest.
It's long days picking, it's large groups of 30 plus individuals.
It was really through saving and sacrifice that we were able to acquire the land back over those many generations. So many developers came and offered tons and tons of money, and we turned them down flat every single time.
I'd say we definitely want to showcase our somewhereness. We're very proud of where we come from, and it's not easy to grow the grapes that we're growing here, and we really want to showcase this beautiful home of ours.